What is up again, everybody? I'm Clayton. Welcome back to the pack. Glad to have you. While you're here, go ahead and hit that like button, you freaks, and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the channel out. We are growing. We are pushing that 1K subscription, 1K subscribers, getting close, closing in on it. So yeah, share this video out to everyone else do you think would like these type of videos. Really, that's a milestone for me, hitting the 1K. I figured if we get there, when we get there, I'll do kind of a live Q&A with you guys. My first live Q&A. You guys can just ask me some questions. We'll chat a bit and have some fun. So yeah. Once we hit 1K, we'll do a Q&A, and that'll be a good time. So hit the subscribe button, like the video, comment. You guys know the deal. All right, so today, up the bat, we're going to talk some xenomorphs. We're going to talk some queens. We're going to talk some face huggers. We're going to get freaky with the aliens, all right? So, haven't done an alien ranking yet on my channel, so I thought, hey, what the heck? Let's kick it in space for a bit and talk some aliens. So yeah, we had Alien Romulus come out last year. I did see that one in theaters. So yeah, I mean, I guess technically I have ranked the Alien movies in my sci-fi ranking video that I did, where I took 10 different sci-fi franchises, ranked all the movies within those franchises, and Alien was one of the franchises in there. So I guess technically I've done this, but I didn't really, go much into detail on it. So hopefully, yeah, well, we can go a little bit more into detail, although some of these, again, I've talked about quite a bit. But yeah, let's get rocking. Alien, all 9 Alien movies ranked, of course, going worst to best, as always. Let's get rocking. All right, so coming in at number 9, I have Alien 3. For me, this is the worst Alien movie. I know a lot of people would have Alien Resurrection at the bottom. Obviously, I don't. I actually think Resurrection has some good things going for it. I'll talk about that one more when we get there. But Alien 3, I just feel like there's a big disconnection between Alien 3 and the first 2 Alien movies. I don't feel like it's the same film. I get that. David Fincher, who's a very good director, was the director of Alien 3. And just to put this out there, I'm ranking the theatrical cut of Alien 3. I understand there's an assembly cut, like an extended director's cut of David Fincher's fuller version and vision of the film. I have not seen that version. I've only ever seen the theatrical cut of Alien 3. So maybe the extended cut is better. It probably is. You can't get much worse than the theatrical cut. So I'm sure the fuller vision that David Fincher had is probably better, but I can't rank that version because I've never seen it. So for the theatrical cut, Alien 3 comes at the bottom for me. A big disconnection between this one and the first 2. They kill off the new character off screen. They don't really even pay off what they had set up in Aliens 2. That was disappointing. And also Ripley, for me, Ellen Ripley is a big disappointment in Alien 3 because she doesn't feel anything like herself from the first 2 movies. The first 2 films, she was this strong, courageous character that was smart. She had a game plan. She wanted to save those who she could save and make it out alive, right? Here in Alien 3, she doesn't really resemble the Ellen Ripley that we know from the first two. It feels like there's a disconnect, a disconnect with her as a character. She's not really wanting to do anything in this one. She kind of just wants to sit around and flirt with the doctor guy. She doesn't have that same fight, that same grit in her that we got from the first two. It just doesn't feel like a natural progression of the character from where she was in Alien, where she went in Aliens, and then we get to Alien 3, and it's just like, this doesn't even seem like the same character. And I don't buy that that's where her character would be. It doesn't feel like a natural progression. And she doesn't, the core values, the core character traits of Ripley just really aren't there. I mean, she kind of redeems herself at the end with, sacrificing herself to save the planet. But, that's one moment in a 2-hour film. Doesn't really, unfortunately doesn't really save the movie. So yeah, Ripley is a big letdown for me in this movie, because she's the character of Ripley that we get in the first two is actually one of my favorite final girls in horror. And then in Alien 3, it's like, I can't really get on board with this version of the character. On top of that, I'm not a fan of the cinematography in this movie. I don't like the look, the aesthetic of the film. I don't like the production design. It looks really tacky and cheap. It doesn't look like a sophisticated David Fincher type of production design that we get in a lot of his other films. The cinematography, the lighting is not good, in my opinion. The exposure is not good, in my opinion. I don't like some of the framing in the film. It's just not visually an aesthetically pleasing film to look at. And then, the characters. I've talked a little bit about Ripley, but the other surrounding characters, again, I just don't really care for any of these characters. Most of them are prisoners. Most of them are criminals anyways. So they don't really have a lot of likable qualities to them. And the only reason they're fighting against these xenomorphs is essentially because they have to. It's not because they have some strong moral compass where they're just courageous characters fighting against a villain. They're basically forced into fighting these aliens, otherwise they die. That's not really choosing to be brave and courageous and running towards the gunfire. This is more of like, hey, our house is being attacked, we have to defend ourselves. Like there's a difference in principle, and I didn't really care for any of these characters. So Alien 3 is at the bottom for me. I'd give this 1.5 stars. Just not a good film, not a good Alien movie, not a good sci-fi movie, not a good character movie either. So yeah, Alien 3 at the bottom for me. Coming in at number 8, I have Alien vs. Predator 2 Requiem. The big problem with this movie is that you can't see anything. It's a very dark film, visually speaking, not like philosophically dark, but visually, aesthetically dark. Horrible cinematography in this movie, horrible lighting, horrible exposure. Like, even if you have all the lights off in your house watching this movie, it's still kind of hard to see what's going on. And for me, that's a big letdown. I'm a visual guy. I'm a cinematography student. So yeah, for me, I like cinematography is a big deal for me in a movie. That can really help a film or that can really hurt a film, from my personal experience. And for me, really bad cinematography in this one. Once you get past that and you actually kind of immerse yourself in the story and what's going on, there are some good things going on in this film. It's some good action. I do kind of like the premise overall. I think is a little bit more thought out, I think, than the first Alien vs. Predator movie. But this still suffers from bad cinematography. I think it still suffers from some bad visual effects. Again, not really characters that I really care about all that much or really connect with on any level. So Alien AVP 2 Requiem, I'd give 2 stars, 2 out of 5. Once you get past the visual problems with the movie, it does have some things going for it. So I'd give it some respect there. But yeah, Alien vs. Predator Alien vs. Predator 2 would be my number 8. Number 7, I'm going with the newbie, Alien Romulus from 2024. I honestly, I was kind of disappointed with this one. I do like Eddie Alvarez as a director for the most part. I don't think he's really all that in a can of beans, but he's shown me some things that are I would say are pretty impressive. Some things that I do like with his films. I think that Alien Romulus, again, going to the character issue, characters are that's number one for me in film, is the characters in the movie. They're the ones telling the story. So if you don't have characters that I resonate with or that I connect with, that's already going to be a big hit off the experience for me. And I just didn't really care about these characters. The story was kind of like, I don't know that this movie really offered anything that we haven't seen before in an Alien movie. It didn't really take the franchise in any new direction, in my opinion. It wasn't like, oh man, I've never seen that before. I would have never thought, I would never thought about taking the series there. I would have never thought about doing this or that. It was kind of just a paint by numbers type of Alien movie, in my opinion. There wasn't anything, all that impressive, wasn't anything that was super surprising or shocking. They kind of just played it safe, in my opinion. And I thought the first 2 acts really kind of dragged as well. So I do have some bones to pick with this one. Didn't really care about the characters. The story, I don't think did anything super new or inventive. I thought the first act took too long introducing us to these characters and their backstories and everything. You could have just opened up the movie with these characters on the ship, just like they did in the first Alien movie. Like we didn't in the first Alien, we didn't get a whole act of the film where we're learning about these characters' backstories, where they come from, who they are, the stuff. Like the original Alien opens up on the ship with these characters. And we learn about these characters as the film progresses. We see their character traits come out. We see their personalities come out as the story unfolds. We don't need a full act of the film establishing and showing us where these characters come from. Just open the movie up on the ship. I don't get why we needed, all these characters, different backstories. To me, it was unnecessary. It was runtime that didn't need to be there. And it didn't really make me invest with the characters either. So that aside, I would say visually, this is a much better visual film than the 2 entries below it, than AVP 2 or Alien 3. I think Alien Romulus was beautifully shot. Eddie Alvarez is good with the camera. He knows how to set up shots. He knows how to frame a shot. The DP, I forget who it was, the cinematographer in the film, but he did a very good job with color palettes and the lighting was really good. The exposure was really good. I did really like the cinematography. It was very visually, aesthetically pleasing to look at. I thought the sound effects were really good with this one. The visual effects itself looked much better than either of the bottom 2 entries on my list. And the production design also looked beautiful. Really great production design on the ship. The ship design looked really good. So this has what the other 2 movies below it didn't have. Good production design, good cinematography, good sound effects. it's a much better technically made film, in my opinion. It's where the other two didn't really have the technical quality behind them. This one does. It doesn't necessarily have characters or story or structure that I really care for, but the directing of the film, the visual aesthetics of the film, the sound, all that stuff was actually really good. One of the best and on a technical level, in my opinion. So I do give it props for that. So Alien Romulus, 2.5 stars, a decent film, number 7 for me. Coming in at number 6, we have Alien Resurrection. Might be surprising to some people that I have it this high on my list, but I think Alien Resurrection actually has some good stuff going for it. I don't think it's a good film necessarily. It's 2.5 stars, so it's right in that same tier with Alien Romulus. The thing that puts this above Romulus for me is the characters. This movie does have characters that I care about. I care about Ellen Ripley, even though this isn't really Ellen Ripley. This is more like a clone of Ellen Ripley, an alien version of Ellen Ripley. You're still getting Sigourney Weaver playing the character of Ellen Ripley. So, I like that character. I've spent 3 films with her. The characters in Romulus, I don't know any of those characters. I have no history with those characters. Alien Resurrection not only gives me characters that I'm familiar with, but also actors that I really like. Brad Dourif. I could see Brad Dourif in anything that I see Brad Dourif in. He instantly makes the film better for me. The girl, what's her name? The main girl in this film, not Ellen, but the other one. The actress that plays her is an actress I'm also very familiar with and like. So this movie gives me actors that I like seeing on screen with characters that I either have history with, so I'm familiar with them, I like them, or characters that I think offer more from a writing standpoint. I think they're better written characters than the characters in Romulus. I also think this movie has a little more to say as well in the story than Romulus does. I think Resurrection is also trying to do something different with the franchise. Romulus I didn't really get that impression with Romulus. I felt like Romulus was just a paint by numbers type of alien movie. Wasn't really trying anything innovative with the film. Resurrection, I felt, was trying to do some new things. Now, that doesn't mean everything that Resurrection was doing was good, but I do at least respect the film for trying something different and trying to not just play it safe and, do a paint by numbers version of the franchise. So for that reason, I do give Resurrection the nod. But I also recognize that this movie has some issues, definitely has some issues in the script, definitely has some issues in the visual effects that don't really hold up all that well today. And some of the characters as well. Well, for the most part, I would say the main cast is good. Some of the surrounding characters I didn't really care for. So it definitely has issues. I'm not saying this is a great alien movie. I just think it does, for me, a little bit more than Romulus does. So overall, I would give Resurrection also a 2.5 out of 5. Coming in at number 5, I have Alien versus Predator, the first one. This is just a fun movie. It's just a fun popcorn film. A 3 out of 5. Nothing spectacular, nothing amazing, but it's a good film because it's entertaining from start to finish. I like the characters for the most part. Lance Henriksen, always a character that I enjoy seeing on screen, an actor that I enjoy seeing on screen. And I like that we were able to get Alien and Predator together. It's like Freddy vs. Jason, two titans of horror that we get in a film. And that's what Alien versus Predator is. It's, taking these two sci-fi franchises and characters and putting them together on screen, kind of a love letter to the fans. And I'm on board. I don't need, a Tarantino level script here, to enjoy it. Just give me a fun sci-fi action movie, horror movie with, the xenomorphs and the predators, putting paws on each other. And, and I'm game for that, So for me, entertainment, that's what movies are there to do, tell a story in an entertaining way. And this achieves that. So 3 out of 5, nothing great. I can't really give it anything higher than a 3 because the story isn't all, that well written. There's some, visual effects issues as well. Some of the characters I don't think were that well written or that well handled. Some of the acting in a few places was a little weak, but overall, it's a fun movie. I could pop this on and have a good time. So yeah, Alien vs. Predator, number 5, 3-star film. Moving into number 4, and I'll say all the top 4 movies are all great movies. So number 4 for me would be Prometheus. I love Prometheus. This is a 4-star movie for me, a great film. A film that I would say that I love, a film that I think is very well written and well directed by Ridley Scott. You could definitely see the improvement of quality between Prometheus and all these films that came before it. Well, Romulus came after, but I think Prometheus is better written than Romulus and better handled as well. I care about the characters. I think there are much more interesting characters in Prometheus. I think the pacing is better, and it's a darker film as well. It's darker, philosophically darker. Visually, it's a very well lit movie. The exposure is good. A very, very good movie on a technical front. I do really like the characters as well. Some of my issues, though, with Prometheus, I feel like they kind of got away some in the story department from what made those first 2 Alien movies so good. And from the story writing, they got away from the creation versus science discussion. They got away from the motherhood discussion. They kind of got away from some of the story and commentary points that I thought were really strong and positives in the first 2 Alien movies. And they kind of went a direction that I don't know from a storytelling standpoint connected with me as much. Didn't really do as much emotionally for me as the first 2 Aliens movies did. So, but overall, it's still a great film. I would have liked a little bit more of the xenomorphs. I didn't really care for the Prometheus creatures in this one all that much either. That was kind of a negative for me. But the pacing, the direction, the tension, the horror, all that stuff was much better in Prometheus, I would argue, than any of the films below it. So, I love Prometheus, 4-star film, and number 4 on my list. Coming into our top 3, my number 3 would be Alien Covenant. I make no apologies for my love of this movie, a movie that seems to not get the love by anybody these days. I don't know why. Honestly, I don't get the hate for this film. I've heard people critique it. To me, they're weightless arguments that I don't think hold up. I don't get the hate or the dislike of Covenant. I think it's a great film. I think it's besides the first 2, and maybe you could probably even argue that Covenant is darker than Aliens to some degree. I don't know that's quite as dark as the first Alien, but it's pretty close. This one goes back to being a horror film. This is a horror sci-fi film. And I think this is where Ridley Scott really took the franchise back to those horror roots that, quite frankly, made that first Alien work so well, in my opinion. The tension building was very good in this movie. The characters are much better written. The acting is phenomenal in this film. Michael Fassbender playing David, excellent performance. David is a much more fascinating character for me as well than what's the AI name in the first one? Is it Ash? Anyways, you guys know who I'm talking about. I like David. I think he's a much more interesting character. Fassbender plays him excellently. And yeah, I find that the story is much more compelling, much more interesting. The pacing is very good. It has a lot of the same feeling that the first Alien gives me. It's a little bit slow burn, but that's not a bad thing. If it fits the film that it's in, if it fits the story, then slower is better. And I think the tension building is very good in Covenant. And the aliens, I would also argue, are better handled in this movie. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Alien Covenant. I'd give this one 4.5 out of 5, 4.5 stars. Love this movie. Again, I don't get the hate of it, but, to each their own. Coming in at number 2 is Aliens, the James Cameron sequel to the original. I do really love Aliens. I'm more of an Alien guy. I do prefer the original over the sequel, but that's not to defer that I don't like Aliens. I love Aliens. It's a great film. 4.5 stars for me out of 5. I don't have it quite. There's just a couple of bones I have to pick with Aliens that keep it from hitting the 5-star rating for me. One of the things being with the Marines in this movie, I think that Bill Paxton, while I do like Bill Paxton, the character he plays is incredibly annoying to me. And he's an incredibly annoying character. He's always whining and complaining and pissing and moaning about everything that's going on in this movie. It's like, dude, you're a Marine, bro. You're a Marine. Soldier up and deal with it. Like, I don't buy for a second that he's a Marine in this movie, because of the way that his attitude and the way that he's just pissing and moaning about everything that's going on, whining and complaining the whole time. It's like, dude, shut up, soldier up and deal with it. Ellen Ripley is more Marine than Bill Paxton is in this movie. And she's not even in the military. Her character's not even in the military in this movie. And she's more Marine. She's more of a soldier than Bill Paxton is. So for me, that's something that I can't forgive and overlook in this movie. And something that does bring it down, keeping it from that 5 stars. Just Bill Paxton's character is just so annoying to me. I don't buy that he's a Marine. And then just the way that they're handled, like Ellen Ripley is having to teach these group of Marines how to strategize to take down the Queen and the Xenomorph. They're Marines. They are trained soldiers. They're literally trained for military tactics and combat strategies. And yet they can't figure out a way to strategize, come up with a plan to take out the Xenomorph or, the Queen. They're having to rely on an outside source to do that. I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a second. I wasn't a Marine, but I was in the military for a short time. And I know that you get tactical training in the military, and, Marines are, they're badasses, and they know how to strategize for combat. That's all I'll say. So for me, I think that's like the main issue for me that keeps Aliens from being a 5 out of 5. 4.5 stars for me. And then I also didn't quite like the overexposure of the aliens. For me, less is more. And I'll argue that to my grave. Less is more. And I felt like, again, that's what built the tension and made the tension work in the first Alien. You didn't get to see the xenomorph that much. Just very quick, cuts of the alien. Here, you get quite a bit of the alien. And to some people, that's a positive. And I get that if that's your preference. Fair enough. But for me, it wasn't quite as scary. The Aliens isn't as scary because you're overexposed to the aliens and the queens and stuff like that. They lean more into the action than the horror, which is fine. I like a good action movie, but for me, horror is what works best in an Alien franchise, and I think that's achieved the best in the original Alien. So just a few things there with Aliens that holds it back some, but overall, great film, great storytelling, has a meaning, has a commentary on motherhood that's very powerful, very deep. The characters, other than Bill Paxton, for the most part, are again pretty good. Lance Henriksen. Did I say he was in Alien vs Predator? He wasn't in Alien vs Predator, right? He's in Aliens. Who was I thinking of in Alien vs Predator then? Was he in both? I don't know. I'll have to Google that afterwards. It's still in the morning. I'm still working on my earbuds, so yeah, not fully stimulated mentally yet. So, anyways, yeah, I do love Aliens. Great film, a must watch if you haven't seen it. It's been a hot minute since this movie's been out. I don't know, why you wouldn't have seen it, but yeah, great film. Number 2 for me. And then coming in at number 1, obviously, is the original Alien. I've talked about this movie a lot. I'm a big fan of this film. I think it's one of the best horror films ever made. I think it's one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. I love everything about this movie. This is a 5-star film. It's a perfect film, in my opinion. And I love it. I love everything. The characters are great. The story is great. The tension is great. The cinematography is great. The production design is great. The score is very good. I do prefer Ridley Scott's director's cut of Alien over the theatrical. I just feel like what it adds is a little more significant than what's in the theatrical cut, because I think it does more for the story overall. And the couple things that it cuts out from the theatrical cut, I also think were good choices, because I don't think those specific scenes in the theatrical cut were needed. So I do prefer the Ridley Scott director's cut, but either way, even the theatrical cut would still be a 5 out of 5 for me. The minor issues with it are forgivable. I can overlook them. So yeah, Alien 1979 is my number 1. I still think it's the best Alien movie to date. One of Ridley Scott's masterpieces. He's a great director, and yeah, I love it. It's number 1, 5 out of 5 for me. That's it, guys. That is my ranking of all the Alien movies. Let me know your ranking in the comments section. Do you agree with my list? What would be your number 1? Let me know anything and everything in the comments section. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, kick it and rock on.